Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. We're continuing our run of the reading order of the X books during the 70s and 80s and early 90s. Uncanny X-Men 159. I actually have the original that I had. Um it's not in a great condition, but it's not in a horrible condition. This cover is by Bill Sienkiewicz, penciled and ink. He does pencil the inside but does not ink it. Um I feel like this is a one of these throwaway issues. Doesn't really do anything for the story. This is a single issue. Um, so some of the research that I had done was that um, oh my goodness, Dave Cockrum needed an issue off, so Bill Sienkiewicz went to fill in, and Claremont asked him what he would like to draw. So this is what we came up with. Um, so it's a cool issue, but like I said, it doesn't really do anything for kind of what's been happening. So here we go. This is the Mike Mignola Classic X-Men cover. This is actually how I first learned of this story and then went back and bought it. But even though I was in high school, my senior year when I ended up getting the issue, I still didn't take care of these things very well. So like I said, it's an okay condition, but all right, Night Screams. And so the X-Men have arrived to Misty Knight's apartment. Um and so when they discover this isn't Misty, so they're like, "Whoops!" And Colossus is like, "Storm, that is not Misty." And look at everybody, the way she points. This is actually a great splash page here. And then Wolverine says, "She can see that, Colossus. Question is, who is this lady and what's she doing here?" asks Wolverine here. Chris Claremont, Bill Sienkiewicz with Bob Wyacek. Orzechowski has returned with Glynis Wayne as our colorist. So I really I really do like Kitty Pryde's there pointing. Very cool. All right. And so this strange lady says, "I live here. Who are you people? And what's the idea of busting into my house? You could have scared a girl half to death." And Kitty thinks here, "Gee, her face is awfully familiar. I wish I could place it." And Storm says, "I apologize for causing undue harm. My name is Storm. We are friends of Misty. This is still her apartment, is it not?" And she says, "It's our apartment. I'm her roommate." And then Kitty finally yells out her name, "Harmony Young." And Wolverine is like, "You know the lady, kid?" She says, "Boy, do I. She's one of the top fashion models in New York." Um, and Nightcrawler, "An honor, obviously, well deserved. Enchanté, mademoiselle." And she's like, "Giggle." And so Wolverine's like, that's the spirit, Elf. Make nice with the lady. As for me, if everything's cool, I'm scourging myself a brew." And look how he pushes Colossus out of the way here. So, and Storm thinks here, ever as ever, Wolverine, the soul of tact and diplomacy. So, Storm says, "We had a standing invitation from Misty to be her guest. If the need ever arose, we have been out of touch recently. We did not know she was sharing at the apartment. We do not mean to intrude, young Miss Young. We'll be on our way." And she says, "Hey, no problem. If it's okay with Misty, it's okay with me. I like having guys around, especially when they're cute." And so, of course, she's referring to both of them. But look at Kitty. What's she talking about? Colossus isn't cute. Um, I've said many times about the relationship between um, Colossus and Kitty. I know Colossus is not in his 20s. He's been portrayed as like 18, 19, but she's still 14. So, still sort of not appropriate. I know if they were adults, the age difference isn't that huge, but, you know, we live in different times. So, and so Wolverine says, "You've got a date with your folks this evening, kiddo, remember? And that's why you're here, and you sure can't meet 'em dressed like that." And Kitty says, "Oh my gosh, I lost track of time. I'll change right away. Ororo, you're coming with me, aren't you?" And Storm says, "Kitten, you brought appropriate clothes. I did not. I have nothing to wear," she says. "Leave that to me," says Harmony. And Storm says, "Harmony, we may be the same height, but we're hardly the same size. Details, details," says Harmony. "Let's see where to begin." And Kitty's like, "Wow." And Harmony says, "I love your hair, Ororo, the color and texture. I wish I could make mine look like that." And Kitty's like, "Oh, Ororo, Harmony, can I wear this, please? And this, and this, and this." So, and it says here, downstairs, Wolverine echoes Storm's silent sigh. All right. And so if we can see here, we're starting to see, this is on the outside, but we're starting to see fog sort of permeate here. And Harmony says, "Would you like to try some makeup, Ororo? You know, this is more fun than playing with dolls." And so here, Nightcrawler says, "Magnificent." And Kitty's like, "Do you really mean it, Kurt?" And Wolverine's like, "Worth the wait, kid, and that's no lie." So here, I'm not going to read all this, but Storm and Kitty have gone, had left. They're going to look for a taxi, and it does again mention the fog there. And so we are now in Rio Diablo, where Cyclops and Havoc are getting to meet Corsair. We're just sort of going to not read everything here. That's kind of, they're just having, you know, they got to meet Corsair and they talk a little bit about it. They talk about their powers here. And here's Lorna using her magnetic powers on everything. She's not juggling. She's using her powers of magnetism, kind of getting stuff ready here. And so Corsair offers his compliments to the chef. I find it funny that he's still dressed in his costume here. So finally, Cyclops says, "Are you going to stay?" And Corsair says, "For a while, Scott. I'm glad to see you and Alex. We've a lot of catching up to do, but I feel I've been away too long. I feel so out of place on Earth, 20 years behind the times, yet light years ahead of them. And so, when you leave, what about us? Would you want us to come with you? Scott, Alex, my dear boys, I don't know." So we just stop it right there with them. So we just got that left hanging. And so we're back in New York here. So Harmony and Nightcrawler are talking. The phone is ringing. It's Kitty. He says, "Hi, guys. Just me checking in. I'm fine. My folks are okay. Can I speak to Ororo?" And they said, "She isn't here, Kitty. Isn't she with you?" And Harmony says, "Something's wrong?" And that's a question mark. "I'm not sure," says Nightcrawler. "Kitty says Ororo left hours ago, that she was returning directly to the apartment. But if she isn't here, where is she? Why hasn't she telephoned? What could have happened to her?" And of course, we have a Storm here, and you can see she's been bitten. I'm not going to hide the thing. You saw the cover. You know we have a vampire, that this is a vampire story. So I'm not going to pretend, you guys, that we don't know what's going on here based on the cover. So you can see the blood here from the vampire. And so she's taken to the hospital here, and that it's bad, and the jugular. And here comes a police officer here. They ask if she's alive, if she can make a statement, and they're like, "Don't count on it." And so here come the X-Men here. This is very Alan Davis-ish, the way he sort of constructs this. So Colossus is like, "Be calm." And Wolverine's like, "I'm cool as ice, Petey. I won't do a flaming thing till I find out whoever did this to Ororo." And so he goes, "Excuse me, my name's Logan. We were called about a friend of ours. How is she?" And she says, "I'm Dr. O'Hara. I'm handling her case. She's alive, Mr. Logan, but don't ask me how. I even think she, I even think she'll pull through. Oh, sorry, but don't ask me how. Okay, no, I was right when I said it the first time." And Wolverine says, "What happened?" And she says, "The police theorized a mugging, possibly by a maniac. She wasn't robbed or molested. Her throat was slashed." So, and so she says here that, she's going through some blood loss and they were going to give her a transfusion, but they couldn't match her blood type. Her test produced extraordinary results. And of course, it's because Wolverine thinks here it's mutant genes that give them their unique power, so it makes their blood different. She says she wants to keep her a few days and doesn't even remember what happened or who attacked her. So, do they have insurance? So they just let people stay without. Ah, yes. Even in the early '80s, they still hospitals have never been cheap or free. So they walk in to find her that she's actually out and about, and they're just surprised. And she's like, "Get back in bed here." And so she says, "If you want to leave, I can't stop you, but I think you're making a mistake," which is because she had mentioned she wanted to leave. And Storm thinks here, "I cannot stay. That risks compromising the X-Men. Yet I feel strangely safe here." And here you can see the eyes in the fog here. And she goes, "But why should I suddenly fear the night? In the fog, are those eyes? No, just my imagination. Ah, the night. I love it so." And so Storm says, "I appreciate your concern, Dr. O'Hara, but I would rather return home. Suit yourself. I'll prepare your release forms." You can see Bill Sienkiewicz draws a really good annoyed face here. And so back in the apartment here, we got the X-Men with Storm here, and she's like, "Will you stop mothering me, all of you? I am fine, really. I shall be better after a good night's sleep." And so Nightcrawler says, "We'll be outside. If you need us, call it. Just call." And she says, "I shall." So she goes to sleep. But look at her. She hears, it says here, I guess I'll read it because as I describe it, it'll take just as much time. She tosses, turns, trying in vain to make herself comfortable. And here you can see the fog forming. As the night deepens, her senses sharpen, become unbearably acute. More fog. A voice calls to her. She ignores it. More fog. For as long as she is able to. Then, as if in a dream, praying, "This is a dream." Sorry, she rises from her bed. Now, this is a very Sienkiewicz. I think he did this panel himself. I don't think Bob Wycheck did this panel. This is all Sienkiewicz. It totally looks Sienkiewicz. There's no indication that this just doesn't look like Bob Wycheck. This completely looks like Sienkiewicz. So I would be safe to say he inked this one panel because this is totally Bill Sienkiewicz here. This looks like either a dry brush or some kind of pencil here, but look at this thick lines of paint. So I would probably just imagine some dry brushing is most likely what was used. So all right, so she opens the door and says, "Enter freely of your own will." So, and Kitty comes in, phases through, says, "Hi guys, I'm home. Did you miss me, guys?" And then she goes to them and goes, "What's wrong?" Because they're all like broken head, and they're like, "Where's Ororo?" "In Misty's room. She is not well." And she says, "What does that mean? Is she sick? Tell me." And so I knew I should have phoned to make sure things were okay, but I was having such a good time, she thinks. "Logan," she says out loud. Now, real quick, Bill Sienkiewicz is really, really good. He was at one point supposed to take over the X-Men, but he did not. So instead of having John Romita Jr., we would have had Bill Sienkiewicz. So I wondered what that would have been like. because as we saw his art style evolve, um, what would the X Men have been like if we wouldn't have had John Romita Jr.? We would have had Bill Sienkiewicz instead. So, um, gosh, I think he would have just become an even bigger superstar doing Uncanny X Men. But so she continues here. Please tell me. And Wolverine says, she was attacked Friday night, kiddo. We thought she was okay, but she isn't getting any better. We don't know why, and she won't let us call a doctor or take her to the hospital. So she phases through trying to find her, and she comes in and opens the door, and she gasps, the curtains shall close him, I beg you. The sunlight hurts. So Storm is becoming a vampire. So, Kitty's like, she looks awful, so weak and pale, so old. She reminds me of my grandma. Which, by the way, let me go back. What a great, how, when Claremont probably says make her look old, how wonderful. Just, he is very good. I really do like Bill Sienkiewicz. Like most of you people listening to this, I'm sure you prefer when Bill Sienkiewicz inks himself, because it just looks absolutely wonderful here. So Kitty says, looks like I can leave. Looks like I can't leave you for even a minute. How's it going, Ororo? How do you feel? And she says, I'm tired, kitten, but I'll recover. I cannot remember even ever being ill before, but I suppose this is the first time for everything. And Kitty says, the others are terribly worried. Me too, she says. There is no need. And Kitty says, can I see that? You're wearing a lovely scarf. It's pure silk. Is it Harmony's? This? No, it's mine. A gift from an admirer. And of course you see the D for Dracula. But how can that be? He's a figment of my imagination. A phantom haunts my dreams. And Kitty says here, oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. That's all. Ow. Now, real quick, the Star of David, it'll come in handy at another time, but they're making sure to show us here. And Kitty says, what's the matter? Nothing. I'm very tired. The lamplight flashed on my Star of David, which is actually what hit her, and Ororo flinched. Aversion to sunlight, a religious artifact, anemia, dreams. This is ridiculous. What am I thinking? Ororo, later, child. I'm very tired. But I said, leave me be, and you can see her push Kitty. And Wolverine's like, Kitty, I heard. No problem, Logan. Hey, where was Ororo injured? And Wolverine's like, the kid's crying, he thinks. The throat. Slashed across the jugular, but not deeply enough to puncture the vein. Why? And she says, just asking. Gotta run errands. See you later. And Wolverine's like, what the blisses was that all about here? So, again now, back to Storm. She opens the door, and here comes Dracula here. And great panel here by Sienkiewicz here. And Dracula says, Ororo, your name means beauty. Through me, Wind Rider, that beauty shall remain unchanged till the end of time, though through me you shall have the immortality a goddess deserves. Do you wish this? She says, yes, good. Come to me, woman, yield to my dread embrace. Join your blood and life and soul to mine, as with a kiss I make you the bride of the Prince of Darkness, Dracula. Now, great panel here, but I love this part here, where the mouth and the throat, this is ingenious, to even focus more of it. God, he is so good. And so Kitty comes and says, leave her alone, you monster. Who dares? The child. Kitty says, I may be a kid, Buster, but I've helped thrash nastier villains than you. I'm an X-Men, and we take care of our own. Beat it, creep, or suffer the consequences. He says, the cross. Wait, the very presence of that holy object should be anathema to me, yet it is absolutely no effect. Little fool, you have outsmarted yourself. The cross has no power over such as I if the wielder does not believe in it. You are no Christian, but a Hebrew. And suddenly he grabs her neck and goes, Arr! And then it's his hand burning. Of course, it's because of the Star of David that she was wearing here. And Kitty goes to Storm. Ororo, he's in the ropes. We've got our chance. Let's get out of and Storm punches her. None may harm my lord, kitten, not even you. And so you can see they leave together. And Storm says, do not follow. Do not try to save me. You cannot. And if you try, you will merely walk before your time through the gates of death. Forget me, child, and pray that we never meet again. Ododo, yells Kitty here. So here come the X-Men. And she goes, Dracula took her. And so basically they say start at the beginning. Of course, they have a hard time believing her. She even says, the D for Dracula here. So Wolverine doesn't think it can be, but of course Nightcrawler does believe her. Wolverine is going to try to track her, but even says it won't be easy picking Orodo's scent out of this atmospheric soup surrounding the city. That'll tax even my tracking abilities to the limit. Still, what's life without a little challenge? So here we go. They're in Central Park, and there's a castle right there. So, all right. And so they're going to head to it. And, of course, here comes Dracula here. Dracula says, your friend is mine, X-Men. She has lost you forever. By coming to her rescue, you have merely sealed your dooms. Behold. And so here comes all the animals that he controls, even wild dogs here. And here comes Nightcrawler, but Dracula dispatches him. Good here. You don't really see the punch connecting, but you can see the effect, and even on the toes kind of curling here gives you a idea of the punch here. And so poor dog here as Wolverine kills it. So a fastball special, but Dracula of course evaporates, and you can see it even here. And again with Glynis Ween, the magenta being used here, and Peter Colossus here is going to try to punch him, but Dracula catches the punch and then throws him into these trees here. Poor dog. And so he didn't have his claws when he hit the dog, but he takes him out for Dracula, but that doesn't work. And then of course, Nightcrawler is Christian, so he does believe, and so that does cause him harm. And so Storm, of course, is coming. That's where the lightning is, so he's trying to teleport out of the way because Storm is going to get him. Meanwhile, at the same time, Kitty is going to try and rescue Storm. And so she thinks Storm is here. She was going to kill her, but it's empty. And so she says she'll pour some holy water. That'll make the coffin useless to any of the undead. I hope it's Dracula's box. Serves him right. But then here you see slap as Kitty goes. And now we have Vampire Storm. And Chris Claremont uses all these words here to tell us she's a vampire. So she phases through her. She grabs the stake. She says, please don't. Look at this. This is just absolutely remarkable. I love this. Just the black and then the white. Kitty's like, please fight him. You told me you were a goddess consecrated to life. Prove it. Reach within you. To your heart and soul. Fight him, she says. And so she tosses a stake and says, if you want my life so badly, then take it. I won't try to stop you. So, outside, still, Colossus and Wolverine are heading to Dracula. Here comes Nightcrawler. But suddenly, here comes the lightning of Storm. And knocks out the X-Men. And Dracula's like, such courage, such audacity. Your mutant comrades are indeed splendid foes. What will you do with them, my lord? She says, slay them. And look at her smile and the big teeth here. That, Dracula, is something you will never do. And suddenly she turns back to good old Storm here. And so Look at this. Now, Storm versus Dracula here. And she has broken his hold of that he had over her. So now we see them fighting here. I'm sorry not to read all this, but these can run. These X Men can run long just because Claremont just pops so much dialogue. So sometimes once the videos start to get a little long, I just kind of especially in the action scenes, I just kind of narrate what's going on because you don't need to know all the words. And anytime the words come, then that are important, I will do it here. So you can see again Dracula hitting her here. So here Dracula says, "I'm your lord, woman, your master. Your will is nothing. Mine is all. Bow before me, Ororo. Yield," he demands. And he says, "Bare your neck. Take a last look at the world of the living, Ororo. When next you open your eyes, you will be huntress, and these creatures your rightful prey." And she's like, "No, I defy you, Dracula. I deny you. I shall not kill you, but you cannot force me." And so he grabs this woman here. "Twice you have resisted my controls, something I would never have dreamed possible, but this is the last time," as he grabs this one. "Drop your weapon, Wind Rider. Yield, or I'll rip this cow's throat." And Storm says, "Let her go, Dracula. None shall die because of me here." So, Dracula says, "That attitude will change once you've joined me as my vampiric consort." And, she says, "I meant what I said. None shall die because of me." And she says, "I will be true to myself, Dracula. I will not shed the blood of innocents, but to destroy them. But to save them, I will destroy you, regardless of how long it takes or the price I must pay. I will end your reign of terror." And he says, "You would not be the first to try it, but I do not wish us to be foes." And she's like, "How can we be anything else? You may transform me into a vampire. You may even slay me, but you will never own me. I was born free vampire, and I will remain. And free, I will remain." So we just sort of end this like this. He basically says, "I knew from the moment I tasted your blood that you were a woman of rare beauty, rare courage, rare strength. Those qualities attracted me to you. Now they have defeated me." And so he is going to leave here. He wanted Ororo to be his queen, but she says no. But Dracula says, "You've earned my respect and hence your life." So he says, "You won't escape that easily, Dracula." He says, "Don't push your luck, Wind Rider." So the next morning, Storm returns, and of course, she's cured here, and everyone is happy. They hug and all this, but we got a phone call here. I skipped all that, as you can see here. And Ororo's for you, long distance. Back then, long distance was a thing. It's Moira McTaggart here. She's like, "I want you and the others back on the island immediately. Collect Scott on the way. Professor Xavier has taken a turn for the worst. Or for the worst, sorry. Next, Chutes and Ladders, a game of superhero madness." So, Uncanny X-Men 159, Chris Claremont, Bill Sienkiewicz with Bob Wyacek. A different issue, that is for sure. And do you feel like me? Do you feel like this sort of really didn't do anything, I guess, as far as the story that we've been telling? Kind of was like sort of like a one and done type of story. So like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.